You Australians are crude, undisciplined, and the most ill-mannered soldiers I've ever encountered.
The slouch hat. Slouch hats with their turned-up brims have been part of Australian military history since 1885, when they were adopted by the Victorian Mounted Rifles. The Australians first wore such hats into battle on the international stage when the nation fought in the Boer War from 1899 to 1902. Australia before the 20th century was separated into colonies. Australia didn't become a federation until 1901. By 1890, military commanders of the separate Australian colonies agreed on a standard uniform. Australian forces, with the exception of artillery, would adopt the slouch hat. Victoria and Tasmania would adopt pinning their hats on the right, and the other colonies on the left.
Notice there's not many blokes around.
It's the war, mate, the war.
All the more shearless for us, eh?
Pinning the hat to one side meant a soldier could hold their rifle at the slope and march with their rifles resting on a shoulder without damaging the brim of their hats. Some regiments throughout Australia had different rifle drills, so they favored one side over the other. It was also thought the eyes right command was easier to perform with the brim up on the right. Ultimately, pinning the left side up won out. Historically in the field, the slouch hat was often worn fully down for protection against the sun or rain. There are in fact a number of different ways to wear a slouch hat in the Australian military. General Bridges, the first commander of the 1st Australian Imperial Force, was found wearing his slouch hat back to front when he was fatally wounded at Gallipoli. As a mark of respect and remembrance for Bridges, when slouch hats are worn at the Royal Military College Duntroon, the chin strap buckle is worn on the right side of the face and the brim down. The hat bands can also have different meanings. The band around the hat is known as a puggaree. They represent a connection with India and the British Empire and are also used for insulation. This was adopted by the British in the 19th century for hats and helmets. Puggaree evolved throughout Australian history with different colors for different services and active service. The majority of Australian slouch hats are now worn typically as part of a dress or ceremonial uniform. Being felt, they're not overly durable and must be taken care of. Modern Australian ceremonial slouch hats have a puggaree with 7 pleats. 6 pleats represent the states of Australia, with the 7th representing the territories. A unit colour patch is worn on the right of the puggaree. A corps or regiment hat badge is worn on its front. The famous Australian service badge, known as the Rising Sun Badge, is worn displayed on the folded brim. This is the official insignia of the Australian Army.
What do you think?
It's all right.
Perhaps the most famous slouch hats are the ones worn by some units of the Royal Australian Armoured Corps, such as the Cavalry and Light Horse Regiments. These regiments wear emu plumes behind the Rising Sun Badge, which comes from the tradition where light horsemen would chase down emus and steal their feathers to wear in their hats, which was a mark of their riding skill.
Now look, you just stick with me and Scotty and you're sweet as a nut.
Chiller's the best horse handler in the regiment, Dave.
Though today the slouch hat is commonly associated with Australia, similar hats have shown up everywhere throughout history. The Australians themselves likely were inspired by hats worn by the native police in Burma in the 19th century. In England, slouch hats were popular during King Charles I's reign, strongly associated with cavaliers in the Royalist army. These hats were highly decorated and used to aid in displaying status.
My lords, I give you greetings.
Your Highness.
In America, hats of this style showed up during the Civil War, with regular and volunteer units attempting to distinguish themselves with hats in a number of different ways. Theodore Roosevelt further sported a slouch hat which he wore when leading the 1st United States Volunteer Cavalry, known as the Rough Riders, in the Spanish-American War.
So if Wheeler's down and Wood's taking over the brigade, who's taking over the regiment? I am.
To date, female drill sergeants in the United States can still elect to wear a slouch hat, which is a tradition dating back to 1972, when women were first authorized to serve as Army drill sergeants. Righto, I'm Johnny. I want to thank you for watching the video. If you're watching from the upside down place, I hope I did alright by your history. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.